Bitcoin is about to go wild. Literally, the next couple of weeks and even the next 24 hours have some crazy important events and pieces of news that you guys need to be made aware of. We have a couple of crazy patterns, and oh boy, are things looking poised for a juicy, crazy breakout. So guys, if you are enjoying these daily 5-minute trading updates, make sure you press that like button. And if you're looking for an exchange to trade on, make sure you check out BitGet, as right now you can get a couple $1,000s worth of bonuses, and actually $10 when you sign up and $20 when you deposit at least $50. Check out the link down below and let's get going. So let's quickly say the next couple of hours will decide if Bitcoin is going to break out or retest the bottom of this symmetrical triangle first before hitting a juicy breakout towards either side, obviously. For the last couple of days and even weeks, I guess at this point, we have been talking about this downward trend and our bias. Even though we had ourselves a breakout, we did not get confirmation, and thus we were still biased towards the downside based upon this chart right here, which was showcasing similar as you saw on the previous chart, but a downward sloping trend line in the sense that there is a decline in the tops consecutively. Time and time again, we have lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Obviously, we had one similar bottom though at roughly 18.4 thousand. And because we did not take out any previous top for a significant amount of time, we said that this breakout might very well be false unless we also get it confirmed over on this chart here with a breakout above $20.4 thousand. Now, there's actually a couple of other negative thoughts regarding the Bitcoin price, and that actually stems mostly from the fact that we are copying the 2018 movement in Bitcoin, where right after the midterm elections, the Bitcoin price dropped by about 50%. And since that's a couple weeks away, people are naturally quite fearful, especially since that would push the Bitcoin price all the way towards 12 or 14,000. And honestly, we described before, if on Bitcoin's higher time from here, the daily, we break below 18.4, we are honestly looking at a short position all the way towards $14,000. And if we break above 20.4, we're also consecutively looking at a couple of different stops at 21.1, 23.5, and $25,000, with our end goal being at around that level, because it was also backed up by this falling wedge right here that we covered before. Again, a similar bottom within the falling wedge, but right now it's looking to be a breakout in the making. But if you zoom in further, you'll see, hey, we actually had ourselves a little bit of a breakout earlier, but it's looking as if it's just a quick little test before dropping back in. And so right now, nothing confirmed on this chart just quite yet. But with falling wedges, you take this initial downturn as the scope for the breakout, basically, because you're basically going to return to these higher levels. And even though there are a couple of small bumps in the road, like the $22,000 mark here, that's generally speaking our target, which is roughly at $25,000-ish as well. There's also a new contender though, an actual symmetrical triangle that could break out over the next couple of hours. And let me remind you guys, we have a mixed narrative here. Even though the charts are mostly looking bearish, at least looking at a bearish narrative, even though a lot of the patterns that we've seen are bullish, we have, again, a lot of bearish incentives, a lot of bearish thoughts in a very bullish month. And again, even if we compare it, this post-midterm election situation, 2022, the Bitcoin price is looking a lot more bullish than it did in 2018, plus the fact that October, for all that is showcased, has actually historically been the most bullish month in crypto. 7 out of 9 historical months have been bullish, with a mean return of about 25%. And the reason I'm saying most bullish month is because it has the highest number of bullish periods, which is again 7 out of 9. That was also seen in February, where again Bitcoin had plus 12% this year, but in February the percentage mean was only 8%, where in October again it was 25. Now the counter, or I guess you might even say that this adds to the story, is that November is the most bullish month in terms of percentages. And whoa, that's literally the month coming after this month, which kind of invalidates a lot of our bearish bias purely based upon history. But then again, if you actually look at the numbers though, the mean percentage might not actually be the best one to use, as November has a crazy outlier at 400% back in 2013, which is something that's kind of unprecedented in the rest of Bitcoin's history here. I don't even see any number above 100% in terms of the gains of the month. But yeah, you guys get the gist of it, you guys get the idea. There's actually one thing that people are keeping in mind as well, which is the Bitcoin miner reserve. You have to understand that whenever energy costs are higher, or the price of Bitcoin declines by a ton, or just stays low for a relatively high amount of time, especially those two things combined, the miners are in a pretty tough situation because they need to make money in some way, shape, or form. And so the lower the Bitcoin price and the higher the electricity cost, the less profit. And so the more Bitcoin they are forced to sell. Even though they generally speaking like to hold for longer terms to make more profit, they are forced to do so if things stay lower for longer amounts of time. And that might also be what we've been seeing here. as energy indeed has been in a crazy situation recently, and the Bitcoin price has been extremely stable, which is not so good for a lot of the miners. So again, to conclude, we have a couple of breakouts literally waiting to happen, actually on a lot of different time frames. We've just been waiting for some sort of movement here, but Bitcoin has literally been too stable. Generally speaking, it's been hovering between a very juicy top and a very juicy bottom. We actually just 2 days ago had ourselves a major retest of this major support zone. I did not make a video then, but you guys can see we actually had a little retest, and I think the last video we made was on Thursday, covering that this was the most important support, most important resistance, and we're still hovering between those two areas right now. Before we can make any crazy trade, we have to wait for some sort of breakout, but it's going to be juicy. So make sure if you're looking for an exchange, you check out BitGet. You can use this in every country around the world, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video tomorrow.